Monty
and the Pharaoh
Show. Yeah.
Welcome back to Long Island's #1 pro wrestling broadcast. Monty and the Pharaoh, only seen here live out of Village Connection Radio in Huntington, New York. Live from Rockstar Studios. At the board is none other than studio owner, Mr. Jim Savelli. Jim, how are you, sir?
What's up, buddy? I had to get up early today.
I know, it's an early rise day, man. I've been going since 3 because I just couldn't sleep because to my right is none other than WWE Hall of Famer, Mr. Tony Atlas. Tony, how are you?
I'm doing good. I'm the new Pharaoh.
The new Pharaoh.
It's a new day.
It's a new day.
It's a new day, baby.
Yo, Tony, you kind of broke us up. You kind of broke up me and the Pharaoh, bro.
Yeah, I do that to people. As soon as Tony Atlas shows up, the party's over.
You just break it up?
Yeah, I'm a home wrecker. Hate to admit it. Comes with the territory. But life goes on.
But you look good, man.
Yeah, well,
I'm kind of digging it right now. Yeah. I'm kind of digging it. It was almost like the breakup of Rocky Johnson and Tony Atlas.
On the 5-minute deal.
Yeah, that's it. If you just would have did the 5-minute deal, it all would have been okay.
Yeah.
Were you angry that day? I think you have a propensity to get angry.
Well,
and you are scary. I can imagine you get angry. I'd be a little scared.
I'd be scared.
I'd be real scared.
Well, when I get angry, I only hurt myself. So, getting angry, a person can't think when he's angry. So, you only hurt yourself when you get angry. But sometimes I do. Yeah. I do get angry sometimes.
Yeah, it happens to all of us, right?
Yeah.
It's nature.
Yeah.
All right. Well, anyway, let's talk wrestling.
Well, what was that all about?
I don't anger issues, and breaking up Long Island's #1 pro wrestling broadcast.
Yeah. Well, wrestlers in the olden days, like you said, I was listening to you guys talk earlier before it came on. In wrestling, a lot of things that people see now, they probably never see again, because I came up in a time of when wrestling was a sport where they wanted to convince the public that the person that they saw on television was that person. So I was telling Eric Sims on the way here, I said, I remember I used to ride with a guy called Red Bastien, and a mustache twist up and everything. And I said, Red, what gimmick, should I get? What should I be? And he said, don't worry about it, kid. Eventually you come into your own. So if you notice Ric Flair, I don't know if you guys ever met Ric Flair in real life, but he ain't pretending. That's Flair. All of us from childhood, we got a character. We used to make jokes in those days that wrestling is for real and the rest of the world is fake. You walk into a restaurant. Now, since the beginning of time, there have not been not one individual born on this planet with the same DNA or the same fingerprint. So we're all not the same. Nature just made us that way. We're all the same, be boiled to crap, But anyway, when we all kids, we raised up with fairy tales. You want to be Batman, you want to be Superman, you want to be Hulk Hogan, you want to be this, you want to be that. And we all got these characters in, but society tells you, no, you can't do that. So we suppress these feelings inside of us. Now in wrestling, you're able to get it out. I got inspired by a guy called Steve Reeves, used to play Hercules. And I was a little kid, and I'm on my set through that movie twice. And the guy had to tell me, you got to leave. I left, and I started picking up tree limbs. Mm-hmm. That was my first gym, tree limbs, lifting them tree limbs up in the yard, picking up rocks. I'm Hercules. And Primo Canary, who used to be a boxer, Primo Canary took in was wrestling against Hercules. And the thing was, every time he hit the ground, he gets stronger. He was a dirt god.
Right.
So Hercules picked him up off the ground, over his head. And Tony Atlas. I did what Stevie did. But that was my fantasy. That what got me out the ghetto was a guy called Stevie. I was so inspired. See, 75% of black kids grew up without a father. I didn't have a father. When I got into wrestling, I have many dads and uncles. My father was George Scott, one of the Flan Scott brothers. He knew I didn't have a father. I was about 19, 20 years old. He said, I'll be your dad. And up until he passed away years ago, I used to call him all the time. And his wife would say, George, it's your son. And he said, oh, Tony's on the phone.
Right.
But he had legitimate sons. Mm-hmm. But he always looked at me not as he always protected me, you know. And then when I got away from George Scott, I'm kind of like Mike Tyson. When he got away from Costa, his life fell apart. When I got away from George Scott, my life fell apart. I grew up without their dad, so I needed that type of connection to a male figure in my life.
Was there a difference, though, growing up, without a black male figure against a white male figure?
I don't think color got anything to do with it, to be honest with you. You know, we all humans, and we children don't see black and white. What children see, they see the inner. Children and seniors see the same. In between, you don't know what the hell you see.
Right.
But when you're a child, you see the spiritual part of life because you just came into the world. And then when you become a senior, you see the spiritual part of life because you're about ready to leave the world. Mm-hmm. And in between, you kind of bland. You know, you don't see much at all. And I could be wrong. I've been wrong many times before, so one more time ain't gonna hurt nothing there.
Okay.
Yeah, but George Scott was like a dad to me. He nurtured me and made sure I did the right thing. He was always able to handle me when I got angry. He was able to handle my anger and understood me. And then Vince McMahon Senior was like a dad to me. I always looked at him as a father. He had that fatherly nature.
Did you look at Junior as a brother?
I never worked for Junior that much. If you look at our history, when he took over, my career was built under Senior, not under Junior. I worked for Junior as Saba Simba, Mark Henry, and that later on after my career, but.
But you did interact with Junior when working for Senior, right?
Not that much. I kind of stayed by my distance. In other words, I knew my place. Mm-hmm. So I always knew my place.
Okay.
Unfortunately, I have to. It was only so. Everything is a pecking order. It's. You kind of know what you can and what you can't do, and you see others get away with stuff, and if you did that, boy, they would they'd have you hired for it. But I kind of knew what my position was, from day one. After like I say, after George Scott, he was my protector, but. After he, passed away, it was no longer because he worked for WWE as a booker for a while, and then when he left
during the heyday too.
Yeah, and he's the one that made Ric Flair, Ricky Steamboat. He was, he was the mastermind back in Mid Atlantic Championship Wrestling for many years. And Ric Flair was making $4,000 or $5,000 a week back in them days, $8,000 a week. And then I'm talking about the '70s.
Yeah, sure.
And that was in a small territory where they only had days of territory. Where they had North Carolina, South Carolina, and Virginia. So guys making good, real good money under George Scott. Then he came up here, but I don't know what the problem was. Then he went to Texas. Texas started to grow a little bit. Then he left Texas and left me in Texas, and then I went to Puerto Rico, then to Brody. And
right.
Yeah.
Well, you made your rounds.
Snowball effect.
So since the last you on the show, unfortunately your wife came down sick. I was wondering if we could talk about your wife Monica a little bit.
Yeah, No, we can't do that. No.
Okay. No problem. You got it. All right, let's jump into wrestling.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Don't do that to me now.
Let's bounce back a little bit. Back in the early '80s, what were your experience? We have David Sammartino coming in a couple of months, the son of Bruno Sammartino. Right. Can you share some thoughts on Bruno Sammartino first, and I'll ask you about David.
Bruno Sammartino, at that for a long period of time. There was no WWF. There was no WWF. There was no WWE. It was Bruno. Back in the day, a promoter would what they call wrap the territory around a wrestler. And so what Vince Jr. did was wrap the company name around the wrestlers. You know, instead of, it ain't about the wrestler anymore. It's about the company. You see, when Bruno was wrestling, people say WWE. He never worked for WWE. Mm-hmm. You know, there was no WWF. There was WWF when Bruno worked. So it was a totally different organization. But Bruno was like he was the company. You know, they like I said, the company was here. Bruno was here, and without Bruno, this didn't mean nothing. You see, and what Junior did was flip the job.
Well, you kind of understand that though, right?
Yeah.
So they built superstars, and then if a superstar screws them up, you know, I want to stay on track, but you know, let's use Sasha Banks for example. Okay. You know, she's unhappy, she takes her bag, she goes home. You know, if you put all your money into that superstar and they play that game with you, you could kill your business.
Of course, yeah.
I think back in the day, older, you know,
I know better than anybody because I've done it.
Right.
You know, I hurt the company, but I hurt me worse. Mm-hmm. You know, I've done that. So, you know, when people pay their hard-earned money to see somebody, you got to show up. You know, they expect you to fulfill your obligation because, you know, the fans are not responsible for your personal life. So you have to be there when and the promoter, like I say, he invests a lot of money, and he got to get his money back. The shareholders got to get their money. So, you know, it's not just about Tony Atlas or Hulk Hogan. You know, it's about. So Vince played. Junior did good because what he did, he made the company the
star.
The star.
Yeah.
So it's not the wrestler, it's the company.
Give me some interaction between you and the iconic Bruno Sammartino. Did you have any interaction with him?
Yeah.
Got any stories to tell?
Well, Bruno and me, we was when we was around each other, it wasn't about no wrestling. It was about lifting. Yeah, me and Bruno, we were about that. We were about lifting them weights, you know. Hey, kid, I hear you broke my record today because I was in Pittsburgh, and me, Tito Santana, I remember Axe Demolition, all of them was at the gym. We were all in there working out at the gym upstairs there in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and I bench pressed 565 that day.
Wow.
And Bruno heard about it. So Bruno come back, oh, kid, I hear you just broke my record. And I said, what was your record? He said, 560. He said, it's only about 5 pounds, just 5 pounds, you know, only 5 pounds. You know, but you broke my record, only 5 pounds, you know, yeah. He patted me on the back. I love Bruno. I love Bruno, man. Bruno was the type of guy that he looked like a wrestler. He looked the part. He was a wrestler. You know, he was legitimate. That's what I was saying about when you got a guy sitting in the office writing a script for you, and you got to go out and play something that you never had no experience at in your entire life. So people are not stupid. People know that something is not, it don't click. It's just something there don't click. It's kind of like I was with McIntyre.
Drew McIntyre?
Yeah, Drew McIntyre last night. What he's doing that fits him. You know, things have to fit. I remember watching this television program about Hercules, and the modern one, the modern lives, you know, when the reality of Hercules. And I look at that guy, you know, he ain't got no muscles. Now, when you see Hercules, no muscles.
Well,
And he was with Xena for a while. Remember the Xena?
Yeah, sure,
that
sure.
Guy, whatever
Okay,
his
you're
name
talking-
was.
all right.
That had the long hair
Yeah,
and
yeah.
stuff. He don't look like no Hercules, but they paying him money to play something that it don't fit. In the older days, if you meet Ric Flair is the same inside, outside, in bed, out of bed. That's Flair. That's his inner character, and we was able to do that. We were able to release that inner character in us. And you can't create. I can't make you what you not. I can't make him what he's not. I can't make him what he's not. I can't make nobody. If you're not that, you just ain't that.
Mm-hmm.
That's why when they put belts on certain people, I look. I say, "Come on now." I ain't gonna call no name, but come on now.
go ahead. You could call some names.
No, come on. Yeah, I ain't gonna do
Should I
that.
call him for you?
No, because
Kofi Kingston?
Well, if that, but
Finn Balor?
you rough.
I could keep going.
You rough. You rough on him, man. Yeah, you rough on.
By the way,
you
this
rough
is
on him,
only
man.
the views of Monty from Monty and Tony Farrow. Tony Farrow is not agreeing with what I'm saying. I'm just throwing names out there.
I don't agree with you. I just said that. Another thing that I learned in the business, the man is not here to defend himself. So I kind of feel, But regardless, what I'm saying is that it got to fit. People get tired of being screwed. People pay their money for something. You buy a toaster, you take it in, you put it, turn it on, it don't toast no more. You go, people tired of buying that toaster that don't work. Or when you drive it down the highway, some guy give you a cell phone, you think, give you a phone, you think you got a great deal. You find out that the parts don't match. Yeah, so people get tired of being screwed. So when you try to force something down the people's throat that they just not going to buy, you got to sometimes.
I think it also goes back to what you said. The company's not building stars, so it's hard to get by someone or support someone because they're not your hero, right? It's just everything is one big company, right?
What I think, be honest with you, with these young kids today that I watch, I watch a kid on that cell phone. You ever watch these kids?
Yeah.
I'm going, what are you looking at? Yeah. Well, he started telling me all this stuff. He said, I said, you saw that quick? That finger.
Yeah.
You seen all that you process all that quick? It's like a freaking subway station or something.
They're not processing, man. You know what? Everybody wants to see everything quickly get through time. That's why. Could you imagine having an arm bar in a match nowadays?
No,
the fans would riot.
It won't work.
It would be terrible.
And I think what the problem with pro wrestling today is not fast enough. That's what I think. For this newer generation that I see, nothing is fast enough.
All sports have the same problem, man. Baseball, football, right? Everybody wants to get in and out of everything they're doing.
Instant. Everything is instant. So these kids, I work with a lot of kids, and they want to slow down. They really, really, really want to slow down. But what we did as parents, we did something that was never done to any child since the beginning of life, unless you were the son of a king or an empress. We had never, as grown-ups, walk up to a 3-year-old child in a restaurant or in a store or anywhere and say, "What do you want to eat?" Now, maybe it's just me.
No.
This person been on the earth 3 years. You've been on the earth 50 years. And you got to ask a 3-year-old to make a decision? So what we did, we forced the decision on these kids at a very, very young age. The brain ain't built to cultivate that away. And so by the time these kids get 20, they have to, they're in this. And they can't stop. They never get a chance of being, you should never let a kid make decisions. A kid want to feel protected. They want someone to look up for, a teacher. They don't want to teach themselves. We tell them, hey, look, I ain't got time to teach you. Tell me what you want.
Well, do they listen?
Well, why should they? I work with kids, and every child that I learned that I work with this, They want discipline. They want guidance. They're not getting it. They're getting no guidance. They're getting no discipline. They want to know how to. They don't want to be thrown into the ring at 3. See, we put them in the ring at 3. They want to hit that ring like we did around 18 or 19. But they want that protection and grown up first. You know, hey, this is a new world, Daddy. Where I go, what I do. Well, what do you want to do? What the fuck you asking me for? Right. I'm only 3, you idiot. What the hell? We have gotten so bad at spoiling our kids that we don't realize the damage we're doing to them. Well, and what I try to do is straighten out the damage that parents do every day. I help them to make decisions. I tell them, green beans is good for you. Chocolate cake, you're going to have diabetes, they're going to chop your leg off, and you ain't going to live long. End of story. It's the truth. That's my child. I want him to grow up and be healthy. I don't want my child to grow up and be on insulin at 10 years old. Sure. Just because I'm asking him, what do he want to eat? You know what he want to eat. You the grown up. Ain't no kid gonna pick broccoli over chocolate cake. Never gonna happen in history. No kid gonna pick a nice Italian restaurant for McDonald's. And them gum chicken nuggets, not knocking McDonald's, they're good. I eat them myself. But you understand what I'm trying to say? These are children. And we ask them, what the hell? No, when they're grown up, I've asked a child anything.
So let me ask you, we talking.
My mother asked you, what you been into? What you up to there, boy? But that's about it. She asked me when I got in trouble. She didn't ask me my advice.
So you're talking about children. So
we need to raise our kid. We need a mother. We need to start going back to parenting. I ain't talking about beating the hell out of them, slamming them up against the wall, all that crazy stuff.
So share your thoughts about David San Martino then, because I was kind of parlaying into that. We spoke about Bruno. You were around when David broke into the business. Right. Why didn't it work? Did Bruno, like you said, was he giving his child whatever he wanted, or was?
I don't know much about that affair, to be honest with you.
Okay.
You know, see, like I said, everything in the wrestling days work in cliques.
Okay.
You know, me and Bruno, we talk about weights, and we did things. Me and David was the same thing, you know, but everybody had their own little thing in regards that they personal stuff. What me and SD Jones tried to do, we stayed out of it.
Right.
You see, you got to realize, I'm new to not bringing racism. I'm black.
Mm-hmm. You are?
Yes, sir.
I didn't know.
I did not.
Okay.
Hello.
Yeah.
I stayed in my lane. That's how I got on top. When I stepped out of my lane and forgot I was black, I got to get knocked right back in my lane. Not saying that, you know, but I knew, you know, I know my place now. I didn't know my place then. I forgot that I was black. Thunderbolt Patterson. I was out with a bunch of guys. We were drinking, smoking, potting, girls in the room. The next day, we feel like crap. We went into that TV station in Atlanta, Georgia. Ole Anderson saw me, and I ain't gonna call the other person's name. We'll let him tell you the story. But he probably laughing if he listens to your program right now. And we fell into that floor, and we, you know, smelled like crap because we ain't showered, we ain't been to bed,
right?
And we got to do a TV taping. And we walked through that door, and Ole had to throw us in the shower, try to sober us up and everything. So old time wrestler named Thunderbolt Patterson walked up to me and said, "Boy, I'm going to tell you something. You can't do what them white guys do now and keep your job." When I got fired for the WWE, I was doing the WWF then, the same thing. I was doing no worse. In fact, I did less. And the owner at that time said, "I have to make an example of you, of all the people." See? So I learned long time ago that people say, "No, it don't matter." Yeah, it does. Yeah, it does. Not to everybody, but in certain situations, it does, because it's just something about human nature. You know, it in all of us. You know, we got this certain human nature that we pull for one side more than we pull. If you're Democrat, you pull more for a Democrat, and then nobody on the Democrat side could do anything wrong, and everything that go wrong is the other guy's fault, and I got nothing to do with it, even though I'm working too. You know, I'm there. You know, I'm part of it, but I don't got nothing to do with it. Well, what the hell you doing there if you ain't got nothing to do nothing? You know, go home if you ain't got nothing. You know, if you ain't involved in nothing, what you there for? But anyway, and then it's the same, on the other side. So wrestling is pretty much the same way. When the crap hit the ceiling, if you're not connected with the right people, or if you're not packing the houses, then the guys that pack the houses, you can get away with what they want. The guy that don't pack the house, he ain't gonna get away with nothing, and so on.
Yeah, but at that time, you and Johnson are tag team champions, which is, by the way, one of the most important matches in the history of wrestling.
But if you look at all the matches during that time we had that belt that we had together, SD Joe told me something. He was laughing. He said, y'all two guys are the first two guys I seen that had that belt. They didn't make no money with it. You go back through the computer. I asked anybody out there, and look at all the matches me and Rocky had to defend that belt.
It's hard to find.
Because we had nothing.
Yeah, but
except when we won and we were lost.
But Rocky kind of blames you for showing events and doing all that, right?
It wasn't so much. It wasn't so much that it was.
He said you wouldn't go to the smaller towns, So he, maybe he thinks
that's
there was
true.
money to be drawn.
Well, no, that is not true. Why would I come back and screw up? Why would I do that? I gotta be a complete idiot.
That's Rocky Johnson talking. I have no idea, right?
Like I said, it's always the other guy.
Yeah, I got you.
No matter who you talk to. When you read my book, one thing that Scott Teal told me that he liked about my book, he said, Tony, you're the first person that I would write a book for like this. He said, why is that? My statement in my book. Thousands and thousands and thousands of people helped Tony Atlas to get on top. Thousands of people helped Tony to get on top. Only one person helped Tony to fall to the bottom, Tony Atlas himself. I'm the captain of my own ship. When I came back, because I came back from California and went back to work, they put the title on me and Rocket. I tried everything in my power to make that thing work. I didn't miss no show. Chief Dave Strongbow bagged them to put SD on the show with us to make sure I get to the show. Rocky was the transportation there. I depend on Rocky for a ride. He was the man with the wheels.
Right.
I just flew in from California and went to work. I ain't had a car. See? So everybody want to blame their mistakes on Tony Atlas. It's easy to do to blame somebody else for a decision you make. I take full responsibility for everything I ever did, but I'm not going to own up to something that I didn't do. No, I didn't miss any shows. They got records, You look it all up on the computer. Everything's on the computer. If I didn't miss a show, how come my name's there? If I wasn't there.
That's a good point.
That's right. They got records of all this stuff, man. You can get out and tell all the lies you want today. But they got a thing out here today with what is good about the internet called fact checks. So when you get these guys out here and they started flapping them gums about this and flapping them gums about that, somebody told me that Ric Flair said he was in Puerto Rico when Bruiser Brody was dead. Well, if he was, he'd be ashamed of himself because nobody seen him. He was in hiding.
Right.
Nobody on that car seen him. I didn't see him. I was there. Dutch Mantel didn't see him. How the hell you going to be there? Who was he wrestling for? Was he wrestling for Carlos? See, that's what guys do. What's his name? What was the guy name? Dang it. I'm getting old. Shoot. Magdal Vachon.
Okay.
Magdal Vachon said, if a story is worth telling, it's worth embellishing.
Yeah.
And it was a joke. Could I tell jokes that they're not that bad?
Tell whatever you like.
Okay. Now, I didn't make this joke up, but it's in the subject.
Okay.
This guy was stirring this big pot of feces. You know what? Yeah.
Shit.
You can say that?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm trying to help you here.
What the world coming to? They'll be standing there, the guy come by and say, hey, what you making? He said, I'm making a politician. He said, the guy looked at him and got mad and walked away. Another guy came back, he turned the pot again. And the guy said, what are you making? He said, I'm making a loan, with a loan officer and the people that come, tax collector. The guy said, the tax collector got mad and walked away. Next day he got a bigger bucket. Every day the bucket got bigger. I didn't tell it exactly right. It's an old joke.
Okay.
I ain't told this a long time. But anyway, the third day he got this gigantic bucket. He's stirring this big pot of
Shit.
stirring it around here. You know, and he said, "What I'm making?" He said, "Well, I was going to make a wrestler, but I didn't have enough shit."
Oh, there you go.
We workers. See, wrestling started in the con. When I first started, he used to speak Connie. Remember that?
Yeah.
He used to speak Connie. And the 70s with the with that Ted Turner is the one that is really responsible for Vince and everybody else. He was on that TBS, which went into 48 different states. The only state it didn't go into was Alaska and Hawaii. Mm-hmm. So it covered the whole United States. So you had guys like Dusty Rhodes, and everybody was coming to that Georgia championship. And you can't find the tapes because there's one guy that got the tapes, and he's so pissed off at Vince that he said he's going to give them to nobody. And all them tapes for all them many years, everybody ran the Savage, and nobody that got big that was not on these tapes. Everybody wanted. Mm-hmm. That's why when Tony Atlas first came to WWF, Vince didn't have to get me over. They already knew me.
Because you were big in Atlanta.
That's right. That was the
605s every Saturday night.
Yes,
right?
sir. That was the America worker, right? I mean, guys that never even wrestle for Vince. Mm-hmm. People up here knew him.
Oh, absolutely.
When Steamboat first came in, they knew who Steamboat. Vince didn't have to build Steamboat. He was Steve. I was Tony Atlas before they got me.
Yeah. You were pre-made.
I was made before they got me. They didn't make me. I was there before they got me.
Tony,
and a lot of guys were like that.
I want to talk to you about Bob Backlund. So, Senior makes Backlund champion after superstar Billy Graham.
Right.
We've had a few wrestlers come in here, Larry Zbyszko, some others, saying that Backlund almost made the WWE bankrupt. What were the houses? I grew up during that era. I was at the Garden all the time. They always seemed packed. I hated Backlund at the time. I love him now. I respect what he's done for the industry. Give me your thoughts on Backlund, and is there any truth behind that?
They were trying to make a heel a babyface. It ain't Backlund's fault. They let him be Backlund at the end of his career. What a difference.
Yeah.
What a freaking difference.
Wow.
That was just bad management. They want to blame Backlund.
So you're saying the real Bob Backlund was the end Bob Backlund.
You saw that Bob Backlund. If you made that champion back in them days, he'd be the most hated heel. He'd be harder than Ric Flair with that attitude. See, people was tired of good. Vince got rid of, if you notice, Vince Jr. got rid of two things. I mean, one of the things he got rid of was baby faces. There's no more good in baby face. If John Cena talked in the 70s the way he talked now, he'd be a heel.
Right.
Heels didn't brag on them. I mean, babyface didn't brag on themselves. They didn't put people down. The world have changed. See, Backlund became champion, but unfortunately for him, they had him trying to play. He's calling him Howdy Doody because people were tired. Look at Terminator. Look at what we watch on TV. Look at what interests us. If it ain't got sex or violence to it, we don't want to see it. And Backlund he represented that era of the 50s and the 60s. He'd be great when the world calmed down, but right now the world want to kick ass and take names. And Backlund came in as a guy who wanted to calm things. Even when I was watching when President Obama was president, well, everybody that didn't like him told me, he's too nice. Now, when can you be too freaking nice? Yeah. You understand what I'm saying? Nobody want to see nicey no more. They want us to see kick your butt, I slap you upside the head.
So is there truth, though, that he was, the WWE was a lot of problems with him as champion, or that he just had a
I didn't see any. I just figured that he was not, he could never be. They wanted him to be this smiley guy, and the fan wouldn't pick it up. Got nothing with Backlund. They pushed that envelope. See, when you put a wrestler out there, you let him do and if you see that what he's doing is not working, one of the problems that I always find that was different working up north than working down south.
Yeah.
Okay, Georgia Championship Wrestling. I go in the ring. I'm not getting over. Only answer. Tony Atlas, that was the drizzling shits. Jimmy Crockett, Mid-Atlantic. I go in, the match didn't go good. Tony, don't do that no more. That's not good. Vince McMahon, match is good. But match is horrible.
Senior, junior, we're talking?
Both.
Okay. Nothing.
Not a damn word.
So you don't even know how you're doing.
You never know.
So then why did seniors stick with Backlund?
Nobody know because they wouldn't tell you what was wrong. You don't know if you're screwing up or not. They want, you don't know. When I work for the territory, if you did something wrong, they tell you. They don't tell you. You don't know until you're gone. That's when you know.
Then you find out, right?
Boy, I screwed up somewhere. Where did that come from? Yeah, it's out of thin air,
Do you think part of the reason is back in the NWA, AWA, that type of thing, and I guess someone your size, if you wanted in your time,
let me correct this first. I'm sorry.
It's fine.
I don't mean to be rude.
No, you're not.
But
your show.
You got to realize that. No, I wish it was my show. You got to realize
Tony Farrell, baby.
Hey, there we go, baby.
Monty of the Pharaoh.
Where the WWF is what I'm talking about, not so much the the WWF too, but not the WWE. Because they've been change of commands in. The WWE. It was on there. Everything came from one person through what you call the booker. So the boss would tell the booker, then the booker would tell you, but up there, not even the booker tell you. You see what I'm saying? So there was no, you would get told you was doing great. Love having you here. Greatest thing we ever seen. Then you get home, your service no longer needed.
What?
Yeah, because they send you home for that little vacation, that little 2 days off thing, And the letter is there.
Waiting for you.
Yeah, me and Teddy Long used to laugh all the time. Teddy would sit there after every WrestleMania. Teddy Long would sit there and say, I wonder how many guys is walking around here is already fired.
There are the guys that don't even know it.
Don't even know it. You don't know you're fired until you go home. I mean, the first time they done that to me, they gave me a booking sheet. And me and old Black Bob, we saw the boss sitting in the cafeteria, so we went in there to talk to him, Oh, don't worry about it. Everything is great. Everything is wonderful. We're so glad to have you here, Tony Atlas, them freaking arms of your man, boy, with them freaking arms, off the subject a little bit there. I get back to subject, Vince, what about my booking sheet here? So then what ended up happening is, it's been a mistake. By the time you get home, the new booking sheet will be in the mail. Don't worry about it. You'll just as much of this company as any of us. Okay, thank you. Get home, my wife. Oh, you got some mail? Oh, is it from the office? Yeah, you got something for the office. Wife all happy and bubbly and everything.
It's probably a check.
I'm happy and bubbly too, Then I picked it up from Pat Patterson. Your service no longer needed.
Oh man. Well, they don't want.
And that was the next. So when he was telling me, you okay here? The letter was already at the house because the wife hunted to me when I walked through the door. The letter got there before I did. So the letter was already in the mail.
Well, they're scared.
Well, no, that's
people don't like confrontation, Tony.
Well,
especially your size.
God gave us balls for something.
Yeah, well,
but no, just honestly, you don't have to be. I wasn't going to beat him up. I'm not a Neanderthal, But just be man enough to lay the cards on the table. Don't be a cutthroat, backstabber. Just be upfront about it. I mean, what I'm going to do? Beat him up?
Well, we did establish earlier you do have a bad temper.
He probably had reason for it. Right. But you know what I'm saying? He probably had reason for it, but still, they wasn't afraid of me down south.
Well, let me ask you about that. So you're wrestling.
Jim Barnett you ever hear Jim Barnett? Yeah. Tony, my boy. He wasn't afraid of me, my boy. So if my boy is not afraid of me, how come he is? My boy.
Could you have done? Could you have done business for yourself in the 70s? Look at this guy.
Yeah, I mean, come on,
Could you have done business for yourself in the 70s? So we're going back to Vince Senior keeping the strap around Backlund. It's clear Backlund could have kicked anybody's ass. I would think in real life. You're in the NWA. You're in a title match with Ric Flair. If you wanted just to take the belt from him, you could have just took the belt from him back in that day. And what would they have been able to do?
Not book you. Yeah, like we had guys that done that in the past.
They tried to do business for themselves, right?
Oh yeah, Carl Gotch and a lot of guys. They've been tried before. It ain't been.
So do you think that's why Senior left the belt around Backlund?
No. It wasn't that. He was hoping that he liked Bob. He was just hoping that it worked. You see, Senior, you got to realize when you talk about Senior, you got to look at his age. So them guys saw wrestling differently. They
Yeah.
saw the senior saw the '60s, and he wanted that Bruno, that character, because that's how his my time. He was in the '70s, and then when by the time the '80s roll around, that
Times have changed.
John Wayne was no longer the most popular thing.
I mean, isn't
going. The
Junior
other
like
thing-
around the corner going, "Hey, Dad, you really need to change things
well,
up"?
He did. But that probably what caused a lot of discontent some real on that. But he tried. But I don't think a lot of guys didn't see the change. They try to catch up the WCW, but they got on the train too late. Because everything they did looked like they were just copying Vince.
Yeah,
Because Vince got it first.
Yeah.
See, Vince did it first. So they could never create nothing. And Nitro for a while was
It was good.
Was doing good for a while, but Junior came along in a different time period. Like I say now, that's why you said earlier. You said you can't use a headlock like we did, hold a guy in the head for because people is looking at everything.
Well, so maybe times are turning on now. Now Junior is older, and he doesn't see it like his father sees it. They need new blood
right.
there.
That's right.
Listen, I want to change gears on you a little bit. Everybody talks about Brody with you, but I wanted to hit you with Jimmy Snuka and Nancy Argentina. Did you know anything that went on in that situation?
I wasn't there.
Were you close with Snuka at all?
I love Jimbo. I still like him. I like Jimbo a whole lot.
Well, what did you hear about the situation? How's that? I'm not asking whether you know. Just what did you hear, and did Jimmy ever talk to you about anything?
No, me and Jimmy never discussed that. We really never did discuss about what happened with him and that girl. I knew that they were dating for a while, and what was she? I think my second or third wife used to date him, but there was probably about maybe 20 different stories went out on that about what happened with that girl. But I think a guy called me. He's supposed to be what called a DA guy from the district attorney.
Right.
Probably, when they want to reopen the case stuff,
Sure.
he called me, he asked me questions about it, but he said that what the court papers say and what Jimmy said in his book don't match, and that's why they're wanted to reopen the case. So that's going to be kind of like a OJ mystery in the rest of the world for many, many years. 'Cause the only person that really know what happened in that room was Jimmy and that girl. Nobody else was around when it happened.
And they're both gone.
And they're both gone.
Yep.
So, you're going to hear 101 story of speculation. I even repeated some of the speculation, which I stopped doing because, my wife, God bless her, she said, you got to stop repeating what people say when you wasn't there, because in the wrestling business, I keep forgetting myself that guys love to exaggerate. They want to be a part of it.
I think everybody likes to exaggerate, man.
Everybody do that?
Everybody. It's not just wrestling.
Okay. Yeah, and so I got to be careful not to exaggerate and put myself into something just to be part of it.
Well, I don't want you to speculate, but you're kind of blowing this next question out.
Well,
what are your
ask
thoughts
it
on
anyway.
What are your thoughts on the Benoit murders?
Now that's another one. See, I was in Maine. That was in Texas. That's another one that I used to speculate on that I stopped
You just
speculating
think
on.
no more speculating.
No more speculation. Yeah. Everybody's a freaking psychologist now. But for a while, Tony Atlas thought he was. You can find 101 tapes of me saying that. I went to Lee Junior High School and I almost passed the 6th grade, but I know this, and I have done that. I have done that, and I got to stop doing that.
So no more speculating.
No more speculating. I mean, right now I won't, but tomorrow I'll probably speculate again.
Well, but as Tony Farrow, you're not speculating.
No, Tony Farrow don't speculate.
All right, that's all. That's all I want to know.
You heard it here.
Not the Farrow, baby.
Look, he's got the Farrow.
Oh, nice. I like that.
Tony, JYD, your relationship with JYD.
Oh, I love Dog. Dog was a good guy. Like most of us, he could have been bigger if certain things were different in his life.
Well, can you talk about those certain things?
Well, he ain't here to defend himself. And I think everybody.
But you were around it, right?
Oh yeah. I was around. I was around Dog, but he didn't do nothing. Nobody else did. It was certain things going on in the business that a lot of guys should have stayed away from, and they didn't. And I think if he had stayed, let's put it like sober, put it out, I think his career could have been much greater. You know, he had a great talent. He was over. I mean, it didn't take much for Vince to push him to the top. I mean, he just walked in, and you know, but they knew him from previous stuff from that. You know, that TV that on TBS, but I think that if he had stayed up, you know, more sober, then I think.
Could you see it creeping in on him to that kind of level? Like maybe in the beginning they're just you're hanging out with the boys and you're doing a little something, and then all of a sudden it starts to take over your life. I mean, you're in that with him, right?
See, when you don't say nothing, people don't think they're doing anything wrong. If he had done that with Bill Watts, Bill would have said something. You understand what I'm saying?
Right, yeah.
He didn't know he was doing anything wrong. Nobody was saying nothing to him. There was no threat. There was no nothing. Bill Watts would say, if you don't cut that shit out, I'm going to fire your ass. Bill Watts would have been all over his ass. Ole Anderson would have been all over him. The Crockett would have been all over him. Barnett would have been all over him.
But Vince?
They don't tell you nothing. That's where guys get in trouble. They don't know they're doing anything wrong.
Right.
You know, come tell the person. You know, don't let a guy stand there. You see a guy drowning and you stand there. Well, you got in there by yourself. You get out of it by yourself. Now, I'm like I say, it might have changed. I'm not talking about the company now because I'm not there anymore. I only talk about the company from 2010 back. So what happened in the last 9 years, I ain't got a clue. But from 2010 back, it's the same thing. They won't tell you when you do something wrong. You don't know you screwed up till you get home and find out until you get fired. That's when you find out you screwed up.
How didn't you? He's your friend. Why don't you tell him he's doing something wrong?
You can't.
It's tough questions here, Tom.
But no, it's not tough. But what is you can't because they ain't gonna listen to you. You don't write the check. We are individual. We're not friends. We are business associates. Like Junkyard Dog is McDonald's, Tony Atlas is Burger King, Hulk Hogan is Wendy. You individual employee. You're not like on a football team. Now, even a team,
but you guys are traveling together.
Individual companies. Burger King, McDonald's on the same street too. Hello.
I got you.
But same. They in it for themselves.
So if I'm reading it, it's like
every man for himself.
Every man, and you know, if you fall off the mountain, good for you. I'm on top.
But see you later.
Okay.
When I got a broke, I knew more millionaires than Rockefeller and couldn't bum a quarter. Brody laid on the floor. The Klondike Bill told me, said, kid, when you first started this bit, if you have one friend when you finish, consider yourself lucky.
Wow.
Bagdog Vachon said, rest is a dog, eat dog business, got to get your bite out of it. George Scott, you said, kid, you got to take care of yourself because if you don't, nobody else will. You every man, if it's Tony Atlas is not a person. The person is Anthony White. That's the person. My company, my corporation is Tony Atlas. That's a company. Irk Sim don't hire Anthony White. He can't make money with Anthony White. He come to my company, which is me. I'm the company.
Gotcha.
My name is the company.
Yep.
That's it. It's the name. I made a name that you can make a couple of bucks on, you know, enough to get a cup of coffee and a sandwich. But at least I get a cup of coffee and a sandwich. That's my name. Okay? Bottom line. But the whole thing is, you create this company. Hulk Hogan is a company. It's like President Trump. The name Trump. That's a company. It's not. It's no long. It's not a person. You have to disconnect the business part from the, the person part. The person is the founder, and like I'm the founder, and how do I want to put it? I'm not as smart as you guys are. I'm the founder and owner. CEO. Yeah, CDO of Tony Atlas Incorporated.
Gotcha.
That's wrestling, and I wish that I had learned that 30 years ago.
Yeah.
I learned it afterward. You know, I always learn things late, but it's better late than never, you know. But now I know what the game is all about, and now that I know these things, I'm no longer a participant. Kind of like playing football for your whole life, and the guy tried to teach you the plays, and then finally your career is over, and then years and years later, when all your youth are gone, you finally learn them college plays.
Yeah. Well, this is.
But you can't get on the field now. I know the plays now, Coach.
Gotcha.
But I can't get on the field no more. That's what I learned about. They not. People always say, all you wrestlers are friends. We become friends afterwards. When we
in the battle, it's making money, right?
But even it's like that out here from when I have learned, because people have told me certain things that other wrestlers have said about me, because they want to be booked by you, not me. So if they could cut another guy out of a book, and they still would do that, even out here, because every man is in it for himself. Nobody is doing it for no one else. And everybody with the WWE, if one can move one out so they can move themselves in, they're doing the Chief J Strongbow try to drive that into my head so many times I don't know what to do. Chief pulled his hair out trying to tell me.
Right.
He said, kid, they don't care nothing about you. He said, you going to fight for them. Because they would come and complain to me. They said, hey, will you say something to him for me, Tony? Will you talk to Vince for me?
Almost like setting you up.
Yeah, what they got to lose? Vince don't told me they was fired.
Yeah.
They were already walking out the door, but on their way out the door. It's kind of like you're in the ocean, and you're on the way out the door.
Yeah, they want to drag you down.
Yeah, trying to get themselves out, but at the same time, they drowning you.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Could you have done more in the Brody situation? Looking back, could you have done something different?
No, that happened in a second. That happened in like a second. I mean, it was a second. It happened. Nobody saw it coming. Brody was a pretty smart man. There was no way they would have got to him that way if he had thought for 1 minute that something was wrong. There was no indication nowhere. The only indication, looking back, was he was left at the hotel. Now, why would you leave Brody at the hotel? But at that time, who would have thought that they left him at the hotel to kill him? I mean, nobody was saying, hey, to go, you know. Now, if he was probably in a member of a gang, or if he had trouble with another gang, of course, yeah, you would think something's up because it's not regular procedure. But in wrestling, you never thought that a murder plot is getting ready to go down.
Right.
Not in wrestling. This wasn't part of the. So no, I don't think that could have been avoided. Because he walked right into it. Especially his murderer rode with him the night before. They was in his car to go the night before. Because the guy said, why didn't you do it out there? Do it there. Right. But it just the way it was all set up was like to send a message. If you mess, I don't know, it's hard to psychoanalyze it, but it was a matter of seconds.
All right, I'm going to name a few wrestlers' names. We've got about 5 minutes. Just give me your thoughts on them. Dr. D. David Schultz.
All that I remember him about, I would say maybe the best story about Dr. David, what everybody knows, is him slapping that newscaster guy. Right. I mean, he slapped the living concrete. He slapped that motherfucker. It cost him his career.
Yeah.
But it go to show, Dr. David Schultz, he's an example to other wrestlers.
Don't slap anybody.
No, the days of manhood is gone. You can't be a real man no more. You gotta follow the rules, baby. See, back in the olden days, I got stories about I go into bars. We used to pick fights in bars just to beat them up, just so we get our news. That was publicity.
Yeah, but that was a big chance. You got your ass kicked. You were done in that territory, right? That's a big chance. That's a big gamble, right?
Well, the guys that did it wasn't worrying about that.
Right.
I mean, Harley Race, he didn't worry about that. Harley Race had a 6-inch punch. If he tagged you, you're gone. Bro. You're
done.
You're done. You're done. I see him do it many times.
But you were a fighter too. You couldn't take on Race. You think you could have beat him?
I wasn't much of a fighter. I was just incredibly freaking strong. If I got my hand on you, I just pick a spot to lay your ass. I would. I could, in my younger days, I'm not bragging, but it's the honest God truth. If I grab you as big as you were, I'd throw you over in that freaking corner.
I believe it.
And when you come out that corner, you won't be messing with me no more.
Right.
I'll tell you a true story. This is a true story. It happened twice to him. To a football player, the Pittsburgh Steelers, Them guys.
Okay.
First of all, Bruno beat up a bunch of them. You hear about that?
I never heard about that.
Yeah, Bruno, and then in the dressing room. They came back in the dressing room. They were talking stuff to Bruno. You heard about it, right? And Bruno beat that. Bruno Sammartino beat up about two of them. And the third one, Sheik came in. Sheik came in and helped him. And they three of them jumped on Bruno. And Sheik and Bruno beat three of them in the freaking dressing room. The Sheik was suplexing the fuck out of them. Yeah, Bruno was a tough SOB. And then I got into it with, if SD Jones were here, he'd be the only one who could be my witness. And we had a club we used to go to, this in Pittsburgh too. Mm-hmm. And the guy got to talk about fake racist stuff, and I rolled up from my seat, I grabbed him by his belt, picked him up on my head, walked him over, because we was upstairs. So there's like a balcony thing, and the dance floor down below. And I was going to throw him down. I wasn't going to do it, but I held him over to the dance floor just like this, and then everybody thought I was going to throw him over.
Wow.
Yeah, man. I was strong as shit, brother. I was so freaking. I used to take 500 pounds, and I do it 5 times, set for a minute, 5 more times. Scott Epstein used to book me in the park with Dan Lurie.
Okay.
Put 500 pounds on the bar, and every time somebody come in the store, I do it for 5 times. That's how strong I was.
Wow.
Hogan was 340 pounds. Brody was Bundy was 460. If I got my hands on you, you would fly, bro. I didn't give a shit how good you could fight. Just don't let me get a hold of you.
Damn straight.
And I was quick too. I was real fast.
Well, look at you now. How old are you right now?
Something I'm getting like a woman now.
You don't want to give your age.
Oh no, because
it's something called Wikipedia.
Because once people know, because there's 2 ages on the internet.
Oh man,
you ever see
the Pharaoh is ageless.
The Pharaoh is ageless.
But if you go on the internet, look up Tony Atlee. There's 2 ages. One is 65, one is 75. But I have never admit to neither one of them.
But Tony, I got to tell you, you look so in shape. Your face, you look like you're in the mid 50s. You look like maybe even early 50s.
Oh, come on now.
I'm not kidding. I'm being honest.
I swear.
I'm not stroking the Pharaoh right now, Tony Farrell.
It's true.
I look like an old buzzer.
No. All right, Tommy Wildfire Rich.
Love him to death. I got a lot of. He broke my neck though. Now there's the funny story.
That's a funny story.
We were driving back one night, and Tommy had this bad habit. If you sitting behind him in a car, he would turn all the freaking way around and looking at you going down the highway. And he used to do that all the freaking time. This one time on them crooked roads up in Ohio, he'd done that crazy stuff. And he went up. He always told me the same thing. Relax, I got it. But this one time he did it. It's always that one time. Y'all do it twice to learn your lesson. You only need once now. We went off the side of the road. Now there's a lot of people involved in this story. We went off the side of the road. The car flipped over. The hood was bent all the way down to the doorknob. I was asleep in the back, so I was wedged down into the seat like this. And the hood was on my head like this. The other guys were the Johnny Rich, the other guy that was, what was his name? Son, dang it. Oh, he was a referee. Oh, I can't think of the poor kid's name right now. But anyway, let me tell a story. If your name pop up, I'll throw it out there. But anyway, so they were waiting for the jaws of death to get me out.
Wow.
The Sheik was riding with Ole Anderson, the Iron Sheik. He said, who's down there? And they said, Tony Atlas, he's trapped in the car, and the gas is leaking and smoking, and they said he's going to get burned alive if somebody don't get him out. The Sheik ran down and ripped the door off. Yeah. Under that moment, rip the freaking ass the Sheik next time you see him.
That's like Hulk strength.
Well, you could do that with, because they were waiting for the door, but he came and pulled the door, got the door open, and the Sheik, the Iron Sheik, got me out the car before he caught on fire.
Wow.
The Iron Sheik. So I'll be dead now if it wasn't for Sheik.
So you're forever in debt to Sheik.
I ain't gonna never say anything bad about Sheik, because I see how the Sheik are all in time of need. He didn't even and Ole told him, say he's a baby face, which means good guy. Sheik is healed. He said if you go down there, I'm gonna fire you.
Wow.
But the sheik just ran and got the door open, got me out, got me up on there. So I went to the hospital there.
Can you believe that Tony is about to die and the promoter's telling the other guy, you can't break kayfabe, don't go down there?
Yes.
Holy
honest God
cow.
truth. Honest God truth. Honest God truth. This was Ole Anderson with Georgia Championship Wrestling there. But anyway, because that TV we were going to Ohio then. We just started going to Ohio and Wheeling, West Virginia. Anyway, they put me in the hospital. I was there for about maybe 3 days. I was unconscious. I don't know how long I was there. But anyway, when I got out, they put a halo on me, on my head. Mm-hmm. They wires. I look like Frankenstein. You know? They said, oh, take that fucking thing off. Take that fucking thing off. He said, I don't want the people to see you like this. He said, I got a hanger. I got a freaking hanger for you. So he had me to take the halo off, put my elbow up on the turnbuckle, hold my chin like this, and Buzz saw you. They supposed to come in with a 2x4 that's supposed to be gimmick. You know, put some of it, and then put stuff around it so you don't see it, and whack me in the head and break the 2x4 in my head. Buzz, who was always
but let's just say you okay with Buzz doing that? I mean, that's a scary situation in itself.
I didn't know him then. We didn't know each other. You got to realize we young. I didn't know him A from apple butter. I just know he's going to come in with the 2x4, hit me in the head with it. But Buzz was so stoned that morning, he forgot to saw it a little bit. So it was nothing wrong with that 2x4. And I got to just coming out the hospital with this halo, and I'm up here just like this, and they come in here, and he hit me, and he hit me again, knocked me the fuck out. Then they took me back to the hospital. They kept me there. They wouldn't let me go out no more.
Thank God.
Yeah, I was there for a while. And then when I broke my hand, when I was wrestling with the cast on, that's when I broke my hand. But I still had to make every show. See, but now it's different. If you get a serious injury, I didn't break my neck completely. You got these little things that stick out, but this piece here was split.
Okay.
And the doctor said if it wasn't for my neck, if you look at a younger picture being a strong one, he said I'd have been dead or paralyzed. Wow. But nothing moved. It just cracked it, but it didn't move out of place.
It's probably in such great shape too.
Well, what I should do when she even look at me now, look at my neck. See, no wrinkles, no looseness.
No looseness.
Feel that neck, son.
No gobblers.
Nothing.
Ooh,
nothing.
Nice neck. Hello.
Oh my.
That's a nice neck there,
What's the
Tony.
World Cup? Yeah, but most guys my age, they got looseness. Somewhere.
No, yeah, sure.
Yeah, but I work it every day because I broke it that time.
Yeah. But dude, you don't have looseness on you at all. All right, one more name, and then we got the ESS, and then we're going to reveal Tony's artwork. I got 3 names, but I'm gonna go with Piper.
I got to know Piper at Legend House. Never knew him before then. Ain't that weird?
That is weird.
That's what was so good about Legend House. That's why I say it wasn't staged. We didn't know each other. Vince made sure he picked a crew that had never traveled together, never did nothing together. Because he was a heel. I was a baby face. Heels and babies didn't travel together. If you did, you got fired.
Yeah.
So that's why Vince put it together the way he put it together.
If you're in a burning car, you're not allowed to touch each other.
Exactly. They took the business versus. So Vince knew that was the perfect crew of guys to put together, and then to put Pat Powers there, which is how we say in the days about being politically correct. Well, he's gay, right? Yeah, he's gay. So a lot of guys had funny feelings about gay guys too. So he picked just the right crew. And Pat Powers used to say every day that Vince would never do another one. He said because it would never be as good.
Yeah, it was great.
Because with that first hand, you could see the guys not working.
Well, I got to be honest with you. I told you in the green room, I thought it was scripted. I thought it was a scripted program.
The only strip part, how they scripted it, they put us in situations we've never been in before to see how we react in them. Is there like a deleted scene of like Pat Patterson in the closet while you're sleeping and he's going to come? No, they didn't do that. No. If you say you watch the program, if you watch the program, just like with me, they like picture this.
Okay,
you're a young man.
Not that young, but
they come in there and they tell you you're gonna go play polo and leave it like that. What are you thinking?
Thinking, oh shit, I gotta play polo.
If you watch Legend, you see about this, and they want to get that expression.
Yeah, right.
So they didn't tell us nothing. Every day, that little girl would come in there, and she would tell us what we got to do that day.
But let me ask you, when Pat reveals that he's a homosexual on the show, you all looking like this is the first time you ever heard this. I mean, that had to be scripted, right? You all knew he was gay.
Not me.
Really?
I don't know about that, man.
Wow.
I didn't know he fired my ass. I know that. I know he didn't like me that much. I knew that. Because I pushed him up against the wall when me and Rocky got a fighting.
All right, tell that story. Then we're going to ESS. I got to hear this story.
And then because SD told me that's what probably caused a lot of my trouble. You see, Rocky sometimes would leave me at the hotel and take off. And I used to, I finished like catching a cab, going there. But he done that to me several times. So the last time he did it, I saw him in the dressing room. Terry Conway Jr. used to do that to me too. So me and Rocky, we got in a fight in the dressing room, and Pat went to break it up. And I was swinging, and my arm swung out and hit Pat. And I remember with the belt, I told him, I said, look, I told you not to do that with this guy. You should never put me with this guy, because I was just so pissed off at Rocky for leaving me for the third time. So I shoved the belt in Pat's chest in front of the boys. I did it in front of the boys. And back in them days, so Vince had no choice then but to take action.
Pat was his right hand man.
He's the top guy, and then I shoving the belts, and all the rest are sitting there looking at us. So that didn't go over too well with Vince. Like I said, I could have done it in a different way, but I was just so freaking angry at the time. I didn't stop to think, and so I know he was greatly responsible for letting me
downfall.
Because me and Vince, we never really had no problem. I like Vince.
Yeah.
I like Vince a lot, man. I like that guy a lot, man. We never had, but he told me Vince got a tendency. I don't know if he do it for other people. I can only talk to what he do with me. Sometimes when he have to do something, he normally don't, but he does with me. Kind of come to me and say, well, I would like to, Tony, but there's, I have to listen to my people or whatever, his board or whatever he got. Yeah. He said, there's a lot of guys that, it's against you here. So, and they was in the office. I had a lot of people in the office that was against any decision that Vince made to do something with me.
I got you.
Yeah, that's right.
All right. On the couch, super promoter.
Ain't no BS. You're a cult hero, ESS. And
bigger.
What do you got Tony doing with you this
all right,
weekend?
so as soon as we get out of here, we're going to the Wrestling Universe in Queens, New York, and we'll be there for about 2 hours from whenever we get there. And then tonight...
Can you give the address to Wrestling Universe?
Yes, 3429 Francis Lewis Boulevard, Flushing, New York. So it's right on, everybody know, if you're a wrestling fan, you know where the Wrestling Universe is in Queens, go there, okay? Francis Lewis Boulevard, everybody knows where Jack's store is. And then tonight, we're at Fun Station USA with the Warriors of Wrestling, and Tony's in the big Royal Rumble style main event, and so Tony will be doing that.
That's awesome.
And then we got a lot of upcoming stuff coming up. Hacksaw Jim Duggan.
Brutus the Barber Beefcake.
Who else is coming up? Bill Alfonso. Is coming up. Brutus Beefcake. And we got a couple of surprises. We haven't confirmed on it yet, but most likely they're going to happen. You just gotta approve the date. Approve the date on it, and we'll get it done.
We'll lock it out.
We'll lock it out.
I want to
at www.esspromotions.com to stay tuned to anything ESS.
I want to reveal Tony's artwork here,
Beautiful,
which is the most incredible Monty DeFaro picture. Tony, want to describe the picture?
It's unbelievable.
Well,
I love it. This is
my
incredible.
good friend here asked me to do some of the guys that have been on the Monty and Farrell show, and I try my darn best to catch everybody's character. If you notice, Tony Atlas taking up all the room as usual.
Because of the biggest head.
Yeah, I got the biggest head there,
Or I'm sorry, the biggest body, but the smallest head.
Yeah, the smallest head, but that fit Tony Atlas. That's Tony Atlas, the biggest body and the smallest head. Been like that for years. But then I try to put some of my friends in, and this is a fantastic show. I was telling the guys earlier, there are just as many wrestlers that have been on this program that have been in the WWF or WWE. This is an amazing thing they got going here. A lot of us guys, like some of the guys that I travel with and wrestle with, like Bundy. We were talking about Bundy not too long ago. I was sitting beside him. Now Bundy is no longer here. But the Pharaoh could say that at one time y'all watched the Monty and the Pharaoh show, and you saw him because of what these guys do. So this is a great thing, you guys, that what they do. I mean, how can you sit and hear in-depth stuff about Tony Atlas if it wasn't for the Monty and Pharaoh show? You know, how can you hear stuff about the Aaron Sheik, Tito Santana, Greg Valentine? I mean, every wrestler on here had lived a different lifestyle, a different story, different territory, different nationality, Spanish, black, Caucasian, Puerto Rican, you know, Indian. You know, you got it's like a freaking United Nation here. You know, everybody got a different upbringing, a different story, a different experience. And they all have been on the Monty and Pharaoh show. So I don't know if y'all appreciate what y'all seen, but to me, you know, I knew a lot of these guys, like Andre the Giant. And I knew guys that had been on this show that's no longer here to tell their stories anymore. So if you get a chance to see one of us guys, take advantage of it. We ain't going to be here forever. We the last of the Mohegans. Mm-hmm. The end of the wrestlers. We was not sports entertainers. We was wrestlers. And we wouldn't put nobody over that couldn't beat us in real life. We try to not screw the people and show the people something that we were not. The Tony Atlas you seen on TV is the same Tony Atlas you're going to meet in person. The Ric Flair you meet on TV is the same Ric Flair you're going to meet in person. Bundy was Bundy up until he died. Razor Ramon, we immediately stayed Razor Ramon. They was not characters. The character was the person themselves. Like I say, thousands of people is born every day. Nobody got the same DNA or fingerprint. But when you go into a restaurant, what you notice, everybody is acting the same. You go into a movie, everybody is acting the same. You go on the subway, everybody is acting the same. Everywhere you go, everybody is acting the same. You walk to a wrestling show, everybody's not acting the same because we're all not the same. So wrestling, we always look at it being for real because you could be your real person. These were not characters. Greg Valentine is just like his dad. His dad was like that. Creepy. He's just creepy as hell. You know, slow walking, chin down, don't blink his eye. That's creepy. Lurch. Johnny was freaking lurch.
Oh my God!
Greg is lurch. If Greg was sitting here, Greg would say,
Tony, let's not forget though, you can have your own one-of-a-kind Tony Atlas artwork. Go to www.montyandthepharaoh.com and you can order a one-of-a-kind Tony Atlas artwork, picture, frame, size, whatever. It's incredible. Don't miss this opportunity.
That's sharp.
Tony, I want to thank you once
baby.
again, as always. It's been my honor, sir, to have you on the program. And Eric, it's always an honor to have you in. Tony, these were incredible stories, and I got to tell you, you look good in those sunglasses, my friend. All right, catch us this coming Thursday, 8:05 to 9 p.m. on Long Island's #1 pro wrestling broadcast. Monty the Pharaoh, only seen here live from Rockstar Studios at Village Connection Radio. Until then, we'll see you soon.